Hello everybody, it's your favorite Ninja Turtle. Let me adjust some volumes really quick and then we'll get started. Okay, I think that's good. Alright, so, what do I got here? I have a malfunction on my hands. Literally. There we go. So sorry for that one. Let me catch my YouTube video up. Okay, there we go. This is my self-portrait that I started earlier today. And I've worked a little bit with it in the meantime. And it's a little more on model than it was previously. So I'm going to continue working on this now, and I am aiming to fill in a bit more detail than I usually do on these paintings. I'd like to really work on this one, and work on some, I guess, techniques that I usually just kind of skip over and don't pay as much attention to. So really, I'm just going to do whatever I want, as usual. So let's get started with this. Firstly, I will go ahead and hop myself down into my corner. And let's see, how does that look? Maybe a little bit more cornery. Let's go. Okay, maybe right about there. Okay, I think that looks good. Alright. So, what am I gonna do here? I have some options of places to pick this up. I think probably one of the more logical places is probably the eye, and then I'll move out from the eye. So something I kind of want to work on is working in color swatches a little bit better. So choosing a color and kind of deciding where that color should go instead of kind of working in generalizations and base colors. So I kind of tried to do this from the start originally, and I got into a little bit of trouble because I kept I didn't start with a plan. Like I said last stream, this stream should really be called painting without a plan, because that's what I end up doing a lot. It's just kind of painting, like trying to work on a concept at the same time that I'm painting. So usually I start with blobs, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just what I usually do. But when I set out to do something a little bit different, I kind of forgot that, you know, if that's how I'm used to working, that's not going to work all that well to just try to be so specific with colors and put them down first. So I kind of went back to my usual technique of working in just like a couple of shades, almost posterize style, and just getting light dark all over the place. Now it's funny because, of course, when I paint with acrylics, there's a lot of planning and that goes in, because you can't just pile a bunch of colors up and overpaint without getting into trouble with how they look, unless you're willing to waste tons of paint and create all this impasto and, create happy accidents all over the place. That's fine, but usually if I'm gonna set out to paint something, exact, it's gotta have a plan. And one of the things that with digital is that I just often set out without any plan at all, because I know that everything will be perfectly what I want it to be. No drying paint or anything to think about, right? So yeah, you'll notice I have a little red in the back here. That is actually a physiological feature of gin, and that's the reflective membrane that usually cats and dogs have to enhance light in the dark, to reflect some light back onto the retina. I sometimes omit it, just depends on the painting. I hope you are having a good day or night, depending on where you are. I think all I did between this stream and the last one was go to the gym and burn off some energy while waking up. So it was pretty enjoyable. Farted around with my partner a little bit and just kind of relaxed. Had some noms, all that good stuff. When I'm painting a cyclops, the eye is symmetrical. So some of the features that you'd usually see on one side of the eye end up being on both sides. Boo, 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 boo. Boo, 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 boo. Boo, 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 boo. I add a little bit more music into my soothing, calming playlist. Just some like chill beats, stuff like that. I hope they're working for you. Probably going to jump around a little bit while I work on detail for stuff so that I don't get bored. And just keep yapping. Yap, yap, yap. Yeah, it's been a hell of a week for me. A whole lot of busyness. Nothing bad. A lot of good. I got a lot of head pats at work. That was nice. I feel like I'm learning so many new things so fast. personally and professionally. Let me check my volume really quick, make sure that it's good. Might be a little bit quiet. There we go. Let's crank that just a touch. There we go. Maybe that's a little loud. Okay. I have to work with the gain a little bit, I think, in software, because I'm gained up pretty high in my hardware right now. Last Saturday I was streaming and my whole stream got hijacked with a request to do Brosker. So, you know, of course, fine art that I was working on got preempted with finer art of Brown Oscar, which Milo was very pleased about. And I thought it was very goofy. And we are on the cusp of Milo having a bona fide persona, a VTube studio model of his own. So he can come in here and do some art if he wishes, or just stream and talk in the Discord if he wishes, and have presence. Sarah Sanana, the artist of this model, has been very, very busy working on models for all my altars, so not really sure what I'm doing in the corner of the eye here. Have to work on it a little bit more. I think the eye might be just a little bit too wide, but I'm going to work with it like this. Alright, so I don't have much in the way of lashes, but I do like to create some darker lashy things sometimes. Usually it's just a darker band like this. Jinn tend to have lashes that are more like eyebrow that's near the edge of the eyelid, so not too much of an eyebrow. Jinn physiology is a little strange. Anyway, feel free to pipe up if there's something on your mind. We can yap about it, or just sit back and relax and enjoy while I work away on something. I think I'll add a few little blood vessels in here too. Very light. No, that was the wrong shade. And a little bit too light. With fine blood vessels, they tend to snake more and they dive below and above the surface of the sclera. as I give myself a hemorrhage, after I'm done like kind of scribbling, I like to go back over and lighten it back up a little bit. I think there's not enough noise in this shading to make it look stylistic and interesting. There's something to be said for creating noise in shading because of the fact that with certain things like biological structures that are supposed to be a sphere, and there's pressure that kind of pushes it that way, it's still imperfect. And so artistically, you can only really put so much detail into the imperfections of something. And so just creating noise that tells the viewer, their brain, that what they're seeing is imperfections in a way that's non-distracting is really pretty key. Maybe a little bit more red. Yeah, that's good. And it looks a little bit dry red right now, but I'll go back over it. I have to be careful too and decide like what's my level of detail here. Right. You know, somebody told me that the sclera of the eye is just slightly blue. It's not actually like pure white. So I'm just brushing in, and actually I'll do this with an overlay brush. I'm just brushing in just a little bit of blue into the eye here to provide that, maybe even a little bit more. And what that'll do is that'll pick up those mid-tones. The kind of gray colors. But it largely won't touch the white or the black. And now I'm going to go back to normal and just do a little smoothing out here. A little bit of noise. I like the charcoal brush because it provides a little noise. Over focusing a bit, let me step back. Okay. Let's work on the iris a little bit. So the iris has these little fibrils that kind of branch and join. And I'll try to produce that a little bit and then wash back over with some shades to kind of tone it down. Don't worry about the shine in a minute. But these shaded areas that could stand to have some little fibrils that appear a little bit highlighted in the light. I'm trying to find the right brush size, and I just keep changing it a little bit as I go, which is totally appropriate for these because they are different sizes in your eye. just a few key places I want to do this. I don't have to do it all over the place. Because it's not a painting of an eye. You'll see I put some like weird shades in here of purples and things and giving it a little variation. And I'm going to actually go back over and do that a little bit more too. Just joyfully drawing little fibers. Boom, boom, boom. Change the technique a little bit here. Alright, now do a little wash. So that the iris looks like it's kind of diving into the pupil a little bit more. Just even it out. I don't like those strokes. Those didn't really land where I wanted them to. And I'm gonna go overlay brush with pure white and do a little bit of highlighting parts. Just a touch. Go black. Yeah. It just gives a little bit more depth and glow, a little more detail. Alright, getting kind of bored of that. So, I'm going to work on the nose. And I'm immediately going to fuck it up because I forgot I wasn't on overlay. I'm just going to sort of resolve the shape of the nose a little bit better. From this fuzzy land that it starts out in. Work around the edge a little bit more with a shadow and then come back and blend with some of the plates that I've chosen here, these tones. take some of the purity out of this black. Let's go down in opacity so it can help me blend a little bit more easily. And give a little more sweep here so the nose doesn't look quite so severe. Okay. And now let's work on this edge. I can hear my cat meowing outside. But he's not coming in here because he likes to run all over everything. Make lots of fun noise and knock all kinds of things down during a stream. This is a young cat and very, very clingy. And tends to get upset when I'm doing a focused activity. Unless it's work for some reason. And even then, I guess, yeah, he gets a little upset. Gets a little cranky. Comes up, paws my arm. Runs all over everything sometimes. He's like, come play with me. Come pick me up. I'm being naughty. He's so fussy too, he's so whiny, but I swear, he just kind of wants you to come pick him up. And he gets all whiny, and then he'll come right back. Big orange energy. Definitely. I have to make a decision about how to shade these cheeks. Work on my Ninja Turtle bandana here, or eye band. I'm your favorite Ninja Turtle. I look over and I see that my live 2D character just got the mouth open, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Just sitting here going, Sometimes I do that when I concentrate. It happens. Alright, let's go back full opacity because this is a really dark area. And I'm just indicating some contrast in here. It's close to pure black, so you know. Alright, maybe it's mouth time. This hand is very rough right now, and I will get to that. So there should actually be about 2 shades in there, 2 tones at least, with some blending. A hard shadow tone and just kind of unilluminated tone under the lip. least that's what I see. I'm gonna pick a very dark color here. Do a little bit more work on the lip line, and the fangs poking through. I like this cinematic music that I picked up. Hope you like it too. Alright. Don't want too much black in there. Yeah, it's nice. Hey there. How's it going? Think a lot more about muscles in here. I'm pushing my finger up into my cheek while I'm thinking about something. I need to make that look a little bit more round. This kind of sounds Final Fantasy. Some town music or something. You've been lurking. I was wondering who that person was. Sometimes I'm like, oh, hello person, and then they leave because they probably realized, oh, I can't lurk anymore. So I don't call them out. We welcome all people, lurkers included. We don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. I'm not like that coach that's like, I can't hear you. I was always the kid that was like, ugh, I'm gonna leave if you say that again. Like, you get the energy from me that you get. The shade's looking a little bit too separated. Yeah, track coach wasn't like that. I didn't really play sports, but it's funny, in my 30s I came back and started running again and doing races. I met a bunch of people who were in track at that time. And I guess in high school I was friends with the people who liked to run, but I wasn't much of a runner then. It's funny that I really got into it later in life. And it turns out I'm pretty good at it. Ran a bunch of races and a couple of marathons. I think that's just probably just the masochism in me. It's like I want to do something really hard. I don't want to go halfway. I'm going to do my signature kind of variation of very slight tones to give some running too, but not long distance. It's funny because I do get really bored. I haven't done a long distance run in a while, but I have a pretty good natural talent for that. So, like, just physiology. And, I guess, so I haven't done it in a while, but like I get really bored and I have to listen to music. But when I got over training over like 12 miles, like I couldn't really listen to music anymore because I had to pay attention to so much that was going on in my body, and making sure I was drinking water at the right times, and, you know, taking my gels or whatever at the right times, and listening to my pace and all that stuff. And it was a little bit too much to have that music constantly interrupted, and sometimes I would just straight up get lost in the music and forget something important that I was doing. Like, created more of a slope, and then I just erased it. Alright. So now, even though there's a very... what happened? Even though it's a very soft look, I still want to have some more indication of muscles. Other subsurface features. I don't want to have it look too indistinct. Even around the eyes, even though there's one eye. There should be a little bit of variation because there are muscle attachments and things in there. And then there's this ear-like thing that I have here, and that needs to be clarified a bit. And I think I'm only going to do it to a degree though, because the hair is going to take some work, and that is going to end up interfering with whatever detail I put in here a little bit. But there are some structures of the pinna, which is the outer ear, that I can work on. The ear's just kind of poking through in this painting, so not too much to worry about there. The forehead appears to be spilling over the top of my eye band, which is to be expected because things are really indistinct right now. My eyebrow needs a lot of work. Let's do that out of sheer boredom. Let's create a basic shape. And it'll be a little bit smaller than the intended final shape, as I want to add some hair details to it. I hope I'm not too quiet. Working on that. Okay, so what do I do here? First, there's a little bit, slight darker shade here. There we go. And now I'm going to go and think about maybe a little bit lighter, and we'll do some palette finding here. A little finer brush. I'm not going to go too crazy on this. Start with structure, then do a little bit of interference on it in just a second. Do. And let's go. Oh, I got a little wiggle there. That's something a chin eyebrow would really do. Let's fix that. Do some overpainting, get some extra edge on this. Really fine brush. Do. It's the eyebrow show. Wow. I don't want to spend too much time on this. It's really not that interesting, and I don't really know what I'm doing, so let's go create just a few darker lines where there are some shadows. And then do a wash over it. And then go with overlay. Black low opacity. To give it some like larger dimension. So it doesn't look quite so flat. And go to like a white. And just on the top, do kind of the same thing. And go back to normal. And full opacity. And just kind of soften out the shape of it a little bit in places. There we go. A little furry eyebrow. Alright. So, kind of tired of working on the face. Good time to save. Give me 1 second. Drink my invisible soda. Alright, so hands. I think the hands right now have good structure. And what I've got to do is work on the shading around the knuckles and the little muscles in the hand. Now, here's the thing that I don't spend enough time on is the muscles in the hands. I usually just kind of work a hand over until it just like, yeah, I buy that that's a hand. That's fine. I don't usually work so much on the muscles and the veins and things like that. So today I'm actually going to maybe like pull up a reference for myself and have that on hand. No pun intended. And so what I'm going to do is say like, find a hand. And I'm going to do the right thing by looking at something and yeah, you know, a reference. Oh, that's quite a diseased hand. No, let's not use that hand. Well, that's a nice hand, but that hand just looks so smooth. I realize you can't see what I'm looking at. Oh. Ooh, yeah, that's an injury. Maybe it wasn't so wise to just Google search hand. Oh, that's a good hand. That's an excellent hand. Because it's a little gaunt, so all I have to do... Let me pull this hand down. Save image. Stream. Save. Okay. So what I'm going to do... Yeah. Me sitting here being shocked about hand injuries. Let me turn my hands off. Let's see. Pull that reference up. So, what could I do here? Let's show... Let's put this hand over my head. This is the hand I'm using as a reference. It looks like it's patting me on the head. Let me make it a little bit bigger. This is the hand of God. I am being blessed by the hand of God. Okay. The reason I got this hand is because I can see the blood vessels. And it's kind of bony, and this person has like a, well, fit body fat percentage, and obviously a male. So I can kind of work from this because I can see, yeah, vasculature, bones, ligaments, things like that. So you can't see it, but I actually am going to have a bigger version of that hand, like on my screen. Off to the left, I think. Let's see, I think that's a good place to put it. Another thing I guess I could have done, instead of this silliness that I just did, is actually add the hand as a layer so that you can see, and I can see exactly what we're... Oh. Go insert as a new layer. There's the hand. I don't know why that makes me laugh, but there it is. Good aura. Okay. I'm going to put the hand here and use that as my reference. And watch where that hand is going, sir. Okay. Alright. So now I'm going to kind of use that. I always find a way to make this ridiculous every stream, I swear. Okay, karate chop. Yeah, it's kind of a karate chop hand. That's true. Alright, so we definitely don't want to be painting on the hand. Oh, this silliness just... Anyway, so my knuckles are like here. Okay. I don't know what I was doing with that. But like, one thing that I need to kind of work out here is that there's actually more tissue on top of the last section, the last digit, part of the digit. And let's fix that. This is also kind of shadowed in here, and the finger is like bent a little bit. I guess, like, straight. So the knuckles are not as apparent, but this extra skin around the knuckles should be, right? And I'm not very old in this picture. Not very weathered, so there's not much nucleage to show, but I still want to try. Nucleage. I don't know, that's knucklage. Oh my god. It's more Yap and less Doodle now. Alright. I just have to make a decision how to do that. I guess I would be more concerned with the finger being the right size and everything than too much about, actually this face can come a little bit more in here. There we go. Okay. Make sure the knuckles are in appropriate places. You can just kind of work quickly too. I actually have a big scar right now on my right hand from a cat scratch, and it's ruined my chances at a career as a hand model, I'm sure. I'm gonna lower the opacity because I'm working with like really very close shades. And like the tip of the nose, have to decide how steep the angle is. Kind of can't go wrong with like really chiseled knuckles, like a really steep angle at the edge of the knuckle. That almost always looks right. Take away some of this awkward fuzz here. And indicate just a little bit of a bump here as I'm pressing my knuckle into the bottom, into my chin. And then complete that contract by actually creating a knuckle. Alright, here the bone is creating a little bit of a protrusion. And there's all this fat here, tissue. And it's a little bit darker here because there's a shadow where it's close to the face. The face. And there's Karate Chop. Hello, Karate Chop. the finger here. And there's going to be more of a crisp interface here between these two fingers. And that end of that finger is looking a little diseased and stumpy and weird. And I think I know why. Or maybe I don't, and I'm just going to keep fucking with it until it looks right. And it mostly looks right. Still kind of looks like a weird embryo thing. Like, you know, like if this is like the head, and then you've got like the whatever embryonic tail, and then like, you know, a big eye here, a little hand, you know, there's the spine. That is a fucked up embryo. Let's get rid of it. So I was in a stream and Aura like created a fetus and then got rid of it. I'm never monetizing the stream. I'm never, and that's why. Because I like having fun. This channel, this video is not made for children. It's not made for children. Okay. Focus. Once again. Here we go. Oh, let's go back up in opacity and just do some general structural work. This music kind of reminds me of Hammock, this ambient band that does very cinematic, almost mournful tracks like this. I think Hammock is two people working on music together. Don't ask me their names, I don't remember. Okay. That hand is kind of freaking me out. Let's paint its nails. Oh, I can't do that. It's on another layer. Yes, I can. I just remembered I have free will. I can just paint on that layer. Let's paint the nails something pretty. There we go. That one's red. Alright, cool. Let's make this one blue. That's so nice. Wonder if I could use the color brush, like, and do like, here's an orange. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. Now I'm just coloring. Kind of looks like that nail is maybe toxic, actually. Maybe the color brush isn't the best thing to use there. Let's just go for overlay. Like, it certainly colored it, but, you know, it doesn't look like nail polish. It looks like fungus or something. This looks like if you stuck your finger in a bunch of Tang. Okay. Well, we can't forget the thumb. Yeah, not multiply, normal. Okay, there we go. Alright. Let's color in the thumb. There we go. And we've derailed the stream. Okay. Lock that in. Keep going. I get bored, okay? Even when I'm enjoying myself. Okay, maybe a little more highlight here. Now I want to go down in opacity, so I don't do too much damage per stroke. Why? Okay, I think these fingers might look a little too lumpy. No, they look good. That looks good. I just want to blend this out though a little bit more, so it looks more round. Okay. And give a little bit of bunching here on the back of the hand. There's usually, even in young people, there's creases. Relatively young. I mean, I'm thousands of years old, but you know, I mean, I'm not destroyed or anything. Like Gen Q or, you know, something. Here we go. Yeah, that's kind of nice. That's right. I just need to soften it out a little bit. Generally, give a little bit more highlights in here. And when I work on those blood vessels, there's this, I think mine, you know, it's funny that I'm like, I have to go find a hand, but like I have two hands. My person has two hands I can just look at. Sometimes I lose touch with the fact that I have a body. This is kind of a long pinky, I'm thinking. Perhaps I should cut the size of this pinky down a bit. I'm not known as the long pinky Jen. Not anymore, anyway. Put a stop to that. Alright. And even a little down shade there. As it is gradually going downhill, just like me. Fix the shape a little bit of this knuckle. See, I'm really paying attention this time to this one part. Yeah, those nails. We've made, those are the most nails ever. Actually, let's curl the pinky a little bit. I think that's going to be an optimal strategy here. Let's just continue with the clean line of the knuckle. Because knuckles have like tissue around where there's like two parts where the bone meet, they're not perfectly, they're not like perfectly squared off like a point or an angle. Look, there's two bones. Another famous drawing here is like a bone that comes to here and to the end of that bone, and then another bone here, right? And each one of those bones has like two little lobes. So the tissue, there's like a little meniscus in there that then takes up some space. And yeah, that's how you dislocate your knuckle. Alright, let's get rid of that. Give me 1 second while I have a sip. And hit my crack pipe. There we go. And there's like this extra fold, and I can see that when I curl my pinky. I can't believe I went looking for a hand. I have hands. That feels extremely silly that I did that. But I guess I didn't want to be looking at my hands. I don't know. The voices inside said, go find a hand. Find a hand. Okay. So actually I realize that this hand looks a little bit gaunt. So I'm going to kind of do some shadowing and shading here to give it a little meat. In a meaty hand. And alright, let's work on veins. Okay, right between these two. I'm going to do some structural work here, and then I'm going to blend it. There's a vein there, and then this would definitely catch more light. And a vein there, and then maybe a vein that would come down here, and over to the thumb. And there's probably a couple more here because they kind of travel along the bones, right? And then shadow. And at first the veins are kind of, all this is looking really stark. But it'll look better in a second. Now come back over and just kind of lighten it up. Well, first let's give it a little bit more random size. Take away that like fixed width look of using a brush. This is kind of one of my tricks I do. And go back and overpaint and get rid of that one size look. Okay. There we go. Put that. And a little bit of shadow there. And a little shadow here. A little shadow. A little shadow. And now I'll take away this like really strange diabetic look. making it look even lighter. The hand looks kind of old. And I think, let's see if I put my hand on my face. I think the creases are a little too severe. There should be like a bit of a fold here, right? Where, you know, the skin is bunching, but I think those are just a little too severe. Also, what makes it, oh, now it just looks like I got stung by a bee. Fuck. Ah, okay. Alright. Alright. We're back on track. There we go. Let's kind of clarify this shape a little bit. No, excuse me. Give a little bit more dimension to the arm. Come in here and create some variation. It's kind of fun to do this part because, you know, I mean, the actual subcutaneous fat layer isn't even, and your skin just kind of evens over it, but it doesn't look right if you've got perfectly straight, like, shading. It has to have this, like, variation. Or it kind of doesn't look like human tissue. Oh, well, I accidentally changed brushes there. It doesn't really look like human tissue. I mean, I am painting a gin, but, you know, for the most part, same real supply, right? So, like, if I do this, and then do this, and then do this, and, you know, I mean, make it perfectly smooth, that looks like a PVC pipe. That doesn't really look like an arm, you know? But when I come back in here, and I do this, pick a medium shade that just resulted from it, kind of just wiggle the brush around, bring back in some other lighter, darker, you know, kind of do this. Like, it looks way more like a real arm. Just kind of weird. I mean, it's just things that you don't think about. Same here. So when I come in here, like, this is like the arm coming down. Okay. And I haven't gone bold enough to do the, like, really dark hard shadow down in there yet, but I will. And yeah, now that arm looks very convincing, like an arm. The only thing that's I've just noticed is a little bit wrong is that these highlights on this finger aren't quite right. I mean, arguably I should be doing that on the fingers too, right? If I'm doing that down there. I got very good at, like, the wiggling technique for creating realism. I never finished this pinky. Naughty pinky. We finished the pinky. We finished the pinky. Naughty pinky. Fix, 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 fix. Alright. And Make this look less like a PVC pipe. Give that highlight to that bump. That one. And I don't know why I made that section look so lumpy, like a lumpy sausage. Just painting my lumpy sausage. Yeah, I said that on stream. Not monetized. Not planning on it. Alright. I don't know why there's steam rising from my knuckle. Let's get rid of that. Alright. Okay, that extra hand is just freaking me out now. Let me get rid of it. Okay. Thank God. It was just a little creepy. Alright, so let me broadly work on the arm here. Okay, so the deltoid muscle is coming down here. Deltoid attachments up here. I got the clavicle be coming over here in the pectoral. Is attaching to that. And we've got the axilla, the armpit. Sorry, it's my physiology ed coming out. Let's create some hard shadow here, so that we have something to kind of develop against. Bicep would be coming up underneath the deltoid. Kind of creating these plates so that I can do a little shade work. Oh, Sarah Sedana is reacting to some of my comments, so that probably means that that she's finished with Milo. I guess we'll find out in a minute. That would be exciting. I know Milo's been waiting to have his own presence for some time. That would be fun. Set him free on all the unsuspecting people in VC. I know you would appreciate that. I wonder if I've fudged some black. Only a little bit. Okay. Just while I was thinking about it. Let's get rid of that garbage. This happens because I forget to erase when I'm on a layer with transparency, and instead I just pick the background color, which is black in this case. And I think I'm erasing, but I'm not. I'm painting. Old habit from working all in one layer all the time. So this is going to be feathery, of course. But in the meantime, I'm going to do some work on that. And then I'm going to go back to what I was doing. Stop getting distracted. clarifying general shapes right now. Make this. Now this arm is slung quite a bit back. So this actually was a little bit difficult for me to figure out what to do. There we go. Let me check on something really quick. What am I doing? I am going here. I am working in the pectorals and pectoral muscle junction here, and where the breast comes above that. I am thinking about the clavicle here, how it ends. Well, I don't know why I'm drawing a shadow on top. That's not where that goes. So let me sketch my clavicle. Oh, not what I meant to do. Put a sketch layer up, draw in purple, say, okay, well, the clavicle bone is right here, it's coming over. Alright, so all of the attachment for the deltoid goes like this, and the attachment for the pectoral goes up to it. That's the point. It kind of helps suspend your pectoral muscle. Alright, I'm going to get rid of that layer. So now I've thought about it. So the deltoid really needs to point towards it. Kind of attaches like that. And then the deltoid muscle comes out to about here, and then there's the biceps. Oh, my desk just gave a big creak. Hopefully that isn't a precursor to some kind of disastrous collapse. It's served me very well so far. I don't expect that, but that would be a somewhat amusing end of stream. Alright, just kind of indicate that there would be armpit and definitely hard shadow in here. Alright, now very, very soft shadow in here, and give some variation to the skin in here. And let's clean up around the hand here. Let's save. How about that? Yeah, there we go. I'm like, what the fuck is this white thing? Oh yeah, my hair. There's like a fine line between skin variation that looks realistic and just lumpy, weird cellulite or something. kind of looks like a boulder. Part of that is because the shape is just not right. That's good. Slight shadow under the clavicle. I've got some hefty looking neck muscles here that just need to end right about here. Guess the sternocleidomastoid. Everybody loves saying sternocleidomastoid. And if you don't, you're not living life. I'm gonna give hard shadow in here to help give the hand some more contrast and the face a little bit. And in here. And a little bit in here. So everything just doesn't look like blue oblivion. Nope. Extra mark. Alright, Alright. Okay. Now I'm gonna give a little variation on the face. Under the jaw, near the throat, on the surface a little bit. Muscles in the face. Near the shine. This is actually a very good shade to work with right here. Some light shadow. I'm smiling a little bit, so there would be a little bit of a bump there. I'm at least amused as I'm thinking. It's good to be amused while you're thinking. Amused that you are thinking. Thinking can be very amusing, especially when you've got lots of voices shouting various things in your head. Oh, there she goes again, talking about the batshit crazy part. Yay! See, I'm already amused. The nice thing about doing all these like slight variations too is that if I go back over with overlay, I can adjust the contrast of them, so I can kind of dial them in even more. smooth them out if I want to. Give a little bit more bump here, right? Pushing against my face. I think it's kind of cute. Now my face looks a little tortured almost. Maybe I need to give a little bit less give in here. Almost looks like I've chopped my chin here too. I need to do just enough, wherever that is. Just kind of fill this in. I'm going to work on that at a later stage. It's kind of fun. This hard shadow is maybe a little bit too hard. My chin is looking a little bit flat. I'm gonna work on that now. Throw down some plates and get to work. Let's get some highlight. Apply a little bit of it and then color pick to blend. And get rid of what looks like a double chin here. Blend this and make the shape what I want it to be. I'm going to go down in opacity. Give me a little more control. I guess my chin would be just a little bit more pointed. I think the shine is a little bit lower. I have finished characteristics. This looks slightly like one of my cousins, like second removed, who is more finished than me, and she kind of looks like that. Now I'm gonna go and do a little bit on the ear here. Work the contours, as it were. This is getting dialed in. Let's save. And why not? Let's do a little work on the hair. So back up. Let's do some patterning, underlayer patterning. Unmessy this a bit, and go back down. Find the direction of the feathers. I'm going to cut into the shoulder a little bit here and then remove that, which is why I haven't detailed the shoulder really yet, because I wanted to get through the hair that's all around it first, or whatever the hell is attached to my head. Freak. Be the first time I've heard that in my life. Macro structure a little bit, and then continue up the head. And we'll come back and refine all of that stuff. And this doesn't really need it so much because it's so brightly illuminated on the top that you're not really going to see much difference in the shades. Okay, now ba 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 la da 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 da. I'm going to cut back into this to give it some more sharpness at the edges. And for now, it's just what it is. Oh, this is a lovely track. It's called Take My Light. You are free to take my light. Be very careful not to disturb the areas where I've already put so much work into the detail. So you would think I would zoom in, because wouldn't that make it easier? But no, I have to go challenge mode, like nightmare, hardcore. So I'll work on the feathers that are close to the hand in a minute. Let's save it before I make a grave error. Let's come back over to our upper shading really quick. Actually, let's do that with overlay because I want to have some more contrast. So I can still see those feathers when I come back and do them over again and do the highlighting. And yeah, I'm aware I'm also hitting the shoulder, and that's fine. I'm going to darken these areas back here. This is where the back tongue of hair, feather stuff attached to my head, freaky stuff, is showing through. Alright. And I'll correct that edge in just a second. Okay. So this is like one stage. Stage one is pretty much complete. Oh, remember kids, go all the way to the bottom of the picture. Oh, nice little splotch I put there. Let's save. Okay, and let me do my overlay thing there. Okay, there we go. Almost missed a spot. Hey, I thought you were napping. Go back to sleep. Alright, now I'm going to crank the opacity down. And I'm going to go doing some highlighting. Actually, let's go full opacity. I can just do very light strokes. So when I'm doing these strokes, I'm trying to preserve some shadow and still get some highlights. And I'm not trying to do a shitty job this time. I'm trying to be very careful with where I'm actually putting these. I'm looking for a lighter space, and I'm looking for little dark spots, and I'm trying to preserve the dark spots between the lighter space. And then there'll be another overlay over this to kind of try to even it out. So I'm kind of layering up structure right now. These are very bright areas. Oh, okay, stretch. Okay. And do some overpainting a little bit to kind of even out some of these areas. What I want is lots of mixed contrast in there to work with when I use the overlay brush in a second to kind of embed it. So this is where a lot of feathers are kind of being shown edge on because they're hitting this sort of back of the shoulder. Be more careful with my strokes here. There will be just even in the darkest spots, there's still a few feathers that just catch, like the ends of the feather will catch the light. Feels very peaceful doing this. This uneven pelt. All right, and now I'm going to I think I'm going to put on an overlay layer so that I have some forgiveness as opposed to painting without one. And the ultimate is actually applying shadows with overlay, which preserves some of the texture of what you're shadowing in. As opposed to just painting right over it. And it gives it more of a striated look, so which is perfect for, like, you know, feathery things and stuff. And most importantly, it catches shadows that are already there, so it just deepens the contrast. Alright, now I'm going to merge that. And do some color picking and basically just even out a couple of areas that are maybe a little bit too coarse. provide some extra feather in a couple spots. Be a perfectionist. One more shape to some of these. I'm painting a little bit from a distance here so I can make sure it looks right, I guess, from a distance. Then I can come in and maybe just kind of do a little shadow work and clean up where the shapes don't look quite so perfect, if I'm being super perfection-y. Which, on this one, I have decided to be super perfection-y. Yeah, boo 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 boo. Boo 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 boo. Kinda didn't mean to do that part. Alright, let's clean up while I'm sitting here in normal brush. Let me go ahead and clean up the line here. And do a little paint back. Sharpen up some of these edge feathers. Give the illusion of other edge feathers. Generally just clean up a little bit here. Alright. Except, okay, now I need to make deliberate strokes to indicate that there are feathers on another pelt behind. Even if they are difficult to see, it will just create that texture. So it's not completely black. And in fact, these ones would be a little closer to the light. So you would actually see them back here. And there's always a couple that are just at the right angle to reflect light, even if they are far back there in the dark. Just like that. Okay, and let me do a little bit. Okay, now in erase mode, we're gonna go sharpen up some of these edge feathers. They're a little curved, but especially where they're pointed up, they're going to be sharper looking. There we go. I could really do this like all the way up the pelt. We got some schmutz. Get rid of that. Feather. It's kind of a nice shape. Let's not ruin that. Let's give some more stuff here to work with. And it's not quite shaped up here. I like a couple of little feathers that are kind of sticking out. Let's just keep going around the head. This is fun. Do do do. Do 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 do. Do do boom boom. Boom 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 boom. Boom boom boom. Boop boop. And create some more featherage to cut into. And give me some shapes. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just yammering. Yammer. Boop 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 boop. Okay. And I'll clarify some of that. Looking pretty good. Okay, so I like over here, and we'll just keep working around the head. After I take a sip. And give me just 1 minute. Stretch my hand. I notice the neck is looking a little bit chunky. I think maybe I need to narrow the neck a bit. I think I need to ruin this picture in the late stages. Like, that just seems like the right thing to do. Also give a little bit more shadow. All right. Maybe a little bit more dimension this way. Near the ear. Do a quick bullshit job here. After all that speech about I'm really going to do an excellent job and really care, and I'm just like, I'm just going to bullshit this part. Hey, I just say the quiet part out loud, you know. Alright, I'm going to continue to add highlights and go up here. Now, just where I think I see the impression of a feather, I'll go ahead and highlight it. Go. Oh, stretch my hand. My hand always starts to cramp up when I'm doing a lot of the gin hair. It's a lot of like fine motor work. This is one edge I didn't do. That's okay, I'll save it. Kind of want to put more variation on the forehead. Disrupt the forehead a little bit more. All right. Let's take that really titanium white shade and go back over some of these established feathers. And clarify some of the shapes with shadow. Sorta, kinda. There we go. Give a little more texture to this area. Alright. Clean up some of these more bold stroke edges so they don't look so brushstrokey. I don't know. Okay. Schmutz. Let's get rid of that schmutz. Alright. A perfectionist overlay layer. Give some slight overall shape variation in spots. Okay. And go back and do something dramatic. Don't push that hard. Create some outlier feathers in this darker area. Still an overlay. Like barely applying any pressure when I'm doing this. Okay. Merge that back. Actually, also, just with normal brush, smooth out some of the variations in a couple spots. Create a little more dimension. Just so much perfectionism here. I am going to have to cut off my hand to stop myself at this point. going to go ahead and start working in highlights on this side. So it's kind of the opposite of the shadow-based layer. I'm doing like highlight first, just to remind myself of the structure, and then I'll work back with shadow. I'm just going to do the opposite of what I did on the other side just for giggles, because you can do it either way. Because I like challenging myself by trying different things to see which one works better, and it's still kind of a toss-up with this. And now, let's go. Let's create some structure at the edge here. Kind of messy structure, but whatever. That will be fixed. I should have done it with this darker shade, so it's, pre-shadowed. Okay. Go. Darker shadows. And do some more work in here. Rough work, except at the edges. And now I'm gonna fix some of this awkward stuff I created. Here we go. Just the tips are illuminated. Just the tip. That's right. This stream is not monetized. Right. create some texture that I'll be able to play with in a second. Alright. That's looking pretty good. Let's smooth out these shades a bit. Oh, bump my stuff by accident. Shadow in. I'm getting quiet. Dead air. Wow. I'm getting excited about kind of seeing the end of this. Really in a flow state here. Okay. I'm going to even these out a little bit. It's a little too much contrast. And I just wiped out some of the contrast that I actually wanted. That's okay. That's a little bit too much. Let's throw in an overlay. Work on this. No, that wasn't right. Alright. Okay, merge it. Let's just do some color picking and finish this part off. Ugh. Oops, that was some slop. I'm going to clarify the edge here against the shoulder. Actually overlap the finger a little bit because that's cute. Just do this little part down here. Okay. What to do about the rest of the body? smooth this a little bit. And then start working on this forehead. Fix this line. And fix this line. Okay, fix all lines. Finish off this shoulder. Fix this. Some of this stray white that's in there. I think this could come down a little bit. And we'll take this from looking like a PVC pipe into some muscle tissue. There we go. All right. All right, now save. Okay, let's take an overlay layer. Let's change to airbrush and start doing some retouching on a couple of these parts. just a bit, and just a bit here, and a bit more under the nose, here, bottoms of the fingers, bottom of the hand, shadow. That's fine, that's fine. Let's hit this a little bit. Hit this a little bit. Soften the top of the hand. Hit the shoulder again. Okay. And I just noticed this garbage down here. That's fun. Let's airbrush that out. And let me merge that. And just dial this in a little bit. Alright, let's save that. No, schmutz. I found some schmutz. Schmutz check. Schmutz check. Sounds like a hockey player. Alright, save that. I'm going to add a regular layer on top. And I'm going to take some very low opacity white. Just add, no pun intended, a little bit of an aura. I think I need to do a little bit here. Just a touch, because the clavicle doesn't quite look like a clavicle yet. Alright. Save it. Alright, pretty good. I didn't do anything crazy. Alright, let's merge that. Let's put a layer in front of that. And let's decide, like, background wise. Let's just play with a couple of things. What it would look like with like a blue glow. I'm just kind of playing with some effects around the edges, maybe. I want something a little bit more red. Instead of just black. That looks kind of nice. If I did an even lighter blue nearby, kind of contrast with the skin blue. It's helping me find some schmutz on the picture, like right here. There we go. I like that light blue. I'm gonna do even more of it near to the head. And I'm going to take that red and even it out a little bit. Brighten it up. That looks pretty nice. I've got one more perfectionist thing I might do here. And let's just go overlay yellow or white. Brighten up the eyebrow on the top a little bit. Contrast this up a little bit, these little spots. And I'll merge that paint layer. Actually, oh, that's the wrong layer. There we go. Provide a little gloss to the eye. I think that looks pretty good. Now we'll do this and select shrink 40. See what it looks like with a border on it. Well, a full opacity border. Nice. Okay, let's save that. Let's export. Okay. Lovely. I think I'm going to call it here. Okay. Let me look happy. There we go. No. That's disgust. There we go. I don't seem to be becoming happy. I'm not sure why. Anyway, I am happy. It's such a weird way to end my stream. Alright, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me and producing this self-portrait. I'm glad you enjoyed the stream. Alright, well, have a good day, night, whatever time it is for you. And I wish you lots of candy. Goodbye.